And I'm out of the Encore $230 rebuy, over 200 players, almost $19,000 for first, and we lost $330. It's $430. Could do the drive of shame, or we could hop in a cash game. Open seat at 1-3. Let's get in there and gamble. That'd be nice.
Hey, either you guys got an iPhone charger on you with all your technologies?
I actually don't.
Mine's a little bit different.
All right, time for a break. The cash game action is fast-paced compared to tournaments. Really starting to like cash games. Maybe I'll make a little transition. The freedom, the cold hard cash on the table, in chip form of course, it's got its appeal. And some softer competition too. Some real recreationals don't want to sign up for a tournament, they'd rather just play for a few hours and gamble. And I'm getting a pretty good idea of what a recreational is versus a pro, even though I don't know any of these people that are really playing cash. I pick up little things, just how they stack their chips, how they put chips in play, their general appearance, and like certain things they say sets off alarm bells that they're either a reg or a true recreational. True recreational. Of course, there's table selecting. We'll get into all the cash game stuff in the future if I decide to do a lot of cash game vlogs. Let me know in the comments if you want to see cash games. You know, I can make it happen. There's at least 10 casinos I can visit in Las Vegas that have good cash games that run. With a $600 stack, we're under the gun with pocket 10s. Make it 12 to go. Reg on my left calls, and I get 3 more calls. $60 in the pot. The flop comes 9-9-7. I bet out 22 to thin the field, hopefully just take it down. Our hand stands to be best unless the guy on our left is specifically slow playing an overpair, or someone else has 9X, like 9-10 suited or 9-8 suited would make a lot of sense. And of course, pocket 7s beat us. The guy on my left does call, and everybody else folds. Now I got to think about what types of hands he's going to call with. 9X is a strong possibility. Like I said, 9-8 suited and 10-9 suited, although we do block a few of the 10-9 suited combinations. He could have pocket 7s, or he could have a slow played pocket jacks. He's got to think my range is very strong to open under the gun and bet into 4 people on the 9-9-7 board. When the turn brings a 5, 6-8 gets there, he's probably not flatting that pre. I decide to check it over to him. I don't know how many pure floats he's gonna have. 10-8 we block, Jack 10 we block. He bet $60. Time to make a decision. Can we make a big fold of pocket 10s here? What value hands would he bet here that are worse than pocket 10s? A7 suited? Is he even calling that pre? Pocket 8s? Eventually I put in the fold. He doesn't show, but he quickly gets a table change. I ask what he had. We've been real friendly. We exchanged Facebook friend invites, and he says pocket 8s. I believe him. So we did get owned a bit on that one, but I think against his range of pocket 8s, 9X, some 7X, I think it's a decent fold out of position on the turn. And we move on to the next hand.
With blinds at $1, $3, there's an early position limp. Middle position makes it 17 to go. We look down at ace, 5 of clubs, the new pocket aces. We put in the smooth call. We're 3 ways to a flop. After the limper completes, the flop comes 8-4-3, no clubs. Action checks the original raiser, who bets $35. We do have the gut shot and an over, hopefully. So good time to continue in position. We make the call of $35. And the limper folds. We're heads up. Hopefully if he checks the turn, we're going to take a stab at it, or we can improve. The turn is a 4, not the best card for us. We don't have too many 4s in our flatting range, and he continues the story and bets $65. He's repping an overpair. We could continue to call and rep pocket 3s or pocket 8s, but I put in the fold.
I lose a few hands, seeing a few flops, and folding, we lose $100.
Folds me in middle position. I make it $12 with the 10-8 suited. The button calls and the big blind calls were 3 ways to a flop. Flop comes Jack 9-3, checks to me. Good time to put in a C bet with our draw. Board is pretty wet, so we size up to $30. Button folds and the big blind puts in the call. He has about $60 behind, and the turn is a jack. He checks to us. We could check behind and try to realize our equity, or if we bet and put them all in, put max pressure, he might fold a flush draw or a 9, and if he calls with a jack, we might just get there.
But then I double barrel 10-8 on Jack 9-3 Jack against the short stack, who calls it off with Ace Jack. And we river a 7.
It's 5 in a row.
So we're back to even, sitting on $600.
Cashing it last year, but I didn't make it past the first day this year. The play threw me off, man. I couldn't believe how horrible the play was in the main event.
I mean,
the year before when I cashed, it wasn't like that at all. It was all not like just straight by the book, mid raises.
play was horrible, and you couldn't even make it past day 1.
I chimed in. I'm like, if they're playing Queen 4, I could play Queen 4. I was like, fuck it. I don't know why I did it. It was the weirdest. Actually, I don't even think I did exactly that bad, but it was bad enough. It was really bad. I made a 3-bet and some lady called me with King 9 offsuit, and then there was like a 3-card flush draw to her 9, and I bet the flop and she called. And she rivered the 4 flush and checked it. I checked back and she had a 9 high flush. And I was like, well, what the fuck happened here? How did you even call pre-flop? And then when I bombed the flop, I was like, you called it a 9 high flush? How the fuck? I 3-bet with Ace King, and the guy called me with Ace Queen. And
I get called for the 2-5 game, so let's step our game up. We're currently sitting on $600. We're in for $600. Max buying in this game is $1,500. We might top off to that depending on how the action is. Let's see what happens at 2-5, no limit at the Encore Poker Room. A few hands after I sit down, table looks pretty soft, but not 100% sure. I'm under the gun +2, and I make it 20 to go with pocket aces. Love pocket aces. Action folds to the small blind, a Caucasian male, age 65, with a dress shirt covered by a sweatshirt and some glasses. He looks very conservative, probably a recreational. We're heads up to the flop. The flop comes Queen, Deuce, Deuce, 2 diamonds. We got the ace of diamonds. He checks to us. I think it's a great time to down bet to $15. Pretty dry board, and we block the nut flush draw. He puts in the call. He could have a queen. He could have a few ace highs, more likely a mid pair type of hand. The turn's a brick. He checks to us, and it's time to go for more value, targeting his, king jack a diamond type of hands, mid pairs, and king queen, queen jack type of hands. I bet 40. He thinks about it and puts in the check rizzle. 105 to go. What is he repping? Did he slow play queens pre? Does he have the 1 remaining combo of ace deuce suited? Those are like the only hands I can really see beating us, unless he's just, calling with random jack deuce suited. I don't know, but I don't think there's much merit in raising, so we just put in the call. Let's play a river. The river's an offsuit jack, and he bets $130. He could be doing this for value with king queen, although I think most people wouldn't check raise king queen, so his range is pretty polarized to pocket queens, the 1 remaining combo of ace deuce suited, and some bluffs. Not sure what he's bluffing with, not sure what hands he'd call my raise with if I went for value, and we just put in the call. He shows pocket kings. He was trapping us. and we didn't get max value. If he just would have 3-bet pre, we would have got it all. Pretty unlucky, but we'll take it.
Good start.
And we now have around $900.
Hey, this is Alvin from Alvin Teaches Poker. Let's take a look at how Jeff played his hand in Pile Solver. First, if your opponent checks and you bet 15 with your entire range, you'll often find that this strategy is going to be about as profitable as if you allowed Pile Solver to play a strategy where you use multiple bet sizings and allow it to check back on the flop. However, using this kind of simplification strategy where you down bet all of your hands is going to be very effective. However, because Jeff has raised under the gun +2, his range is generally going to be very strong. In this model, I've given him mostly pocket pairs above 7s and above, most of the suited aces, but as the under the gun +2 player, he's not going to have many 2s, but neither is his opponent who's calling from the small blind. So this is a spot where I would actually consider betting half pot with my entire range, which is going to be a slight improvement, but betting a third here is going to generally be very good. Your opponent calls, the turn is the 6 of hearts, and your opponent checks to you. It's very important to notice that if you have to choose between 2 bet sizes here, Pio is actually going to prefer betting close to 100. This is because your opponent's range is going to be very wide after he calls the 1/3 bet on the flop, and you want to now put in a ton of pressure and inflate the size of the pot so you can play big pots with your big hands. Here we go for the small bet, our opponent raises us, and we should really never come over the top here. We should just flat all of our hands, including 6s and 2s, and against such a small raise size, we should fold a very small percentage of our turn barreling range. We call, and the river is a jack. Here, if we give our opponent the option of betting small or shoving, our opponent should actually be shoving the majority of the time, because his range should be very nutted after he calls the flop and then check raises the turn. If our opponent shoves, we should generally be calling pocket aces, and if our opponent bets about 2/3 of the pot, we definitely should always be snapping off with aces.
Oh, yeah.
With blinds at $2, $5, under the gun +1, a seeming recreational 40-year-old male, makes it 25 to go. I'm in the hijack with Jack 10 of clubs. Could 3-bet, but I think a flat is in order. Let's play in position. The cutoff and the button also call, and we're 4 ways to a flop. The flop comes King, Queen, 6, 2 clubs. We got the combo draw, open-ended straight and a flush draw. Original raiser bet 75. He definitely has us beat when it comes to range advantage. He has about $400 behind. Do we want to raise and just get it in for our stacks here? Or do we want to call in position? I think in general you want to call in position with draws like this and check raise out of position. We can use our positional advantage on later streets. So we call $75 and the other 2 players fold. The turn is a brick, and I got to think about how much I'm willing to call to see that river. To my surprise, he only bets $100. So I think we're getting the direct immediate odds to put in the call. $100 it is. The river is the 6 of clubs, pairing the board, but we make our flush. He quickly checks. He seems disgusted. How much money can we get from him? Let's keep it simple and just double his turn bet, make it 200. We could still have some missed draws like ace-jack, ace-10, jack-10, no clubs. To balance our betting range on this river, it's not always value. He puts in the call and shows ace-king. He's disgusted at the turn of events. Flush is good, and we now have over $1,000 in our stack. Starting to like cash games, especially at the encore.
Check. 200. Yeah, we will see it.
Sit back down with my $1,100 stack with blinds at $2, $5. The same guy rivered with the Jack 10 of clubs opens under the gun +1 to $30. This guy seems tilted and he varies his open sizes depending on his hand strength. So limp equals weak. 6X might be 10s through aces. Action folds to me in the hijack and I look down at pocket jacks. Could 3-bet, but I think we can just flat, under rep our hand a little bit, see a flop. He has about 700 behind him. He recently reloaded after getting busted. Asian woman, age 30 to 50, calls on the button. She's been splashing around a lot with a lot of low crap, 8 deuce suited, 7-5 off. Flop comes Jack 9-4, 2 clubs. Original razor bets 4 green chips. That means $100. That's a lot of money. That's a pot-sized bet. Now, based on our opponent, if we want to have a balanced strategy, I suggest flat call with my top set here. Since we blocked top pair and we flat called with our draws before, with the Jack 10 on the King Queen X 2 club board, we flat called, so we should flat call with our whole range, draws and made hands in position, especially facing a pot-sized bet. But I have a feeling this guy has queens plus and he's tilted. So it's time to get it while the getting's good, and that means putting in a raise. We make it $250 to go. Other player folds. When the action gets back to him, he immediately puts out a sigh of disgust. I try to look as nervous and scared as possible, and about 30 seconds later, he says those 2 magic words, all in. I confirm it's all in before putting in the call.
Going.
He shows pocket kings. As a courtesy to him, I show pocket jacks. And here's the run out for a $1,500 pot.
Go Neeme, 510 limit. Rachel, 510.
Um, 1968.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In for $600, out for $1,968 for a net profit of $1,368. And we got a comped blackened salmon Caesar salad. Just excellent dinner. Really starting to think I should play more cash games, especially on Labor Day weekend, and really game select and plug myself into the pipeline.
So I want to go someplace where we know somebody who can plug us into the social pipeline.
Knowing the cash game players, knowing the ecosystem, knowing what games are good, knowing when to play and where to play, and maybe even getting, invites to private games, and studying a lot of cash game strategy. I don't want to be results oriented, but just the feeling of freedom. The ability to go to the bathroom when you want, the ability to just go and get some food when you want.
When do we eat?
You eat when we say you eat. You shit when we say you shit, and you piss when we say you piss.
Also, the luxury of dealers dealing faster. It really adds something to the game. It just makes it different than tournaments. I'd also like to give a big shout out to Andrew Neeme. I have been watching a few of his vlogs lately, and I've been following his pre-flop ranges and lines that he takes with different holdings. He does make a lot of sense with his thought process, and he's a winner in 2-5 and 5-10, so I'm sure I can win a decent amount just by imitation with a little bit of application. Of course I'm happy because I booked a win, but there's just something that feels good about booking a win in a cash game versus a min cash in a tournament comparably. Of course you can't win as many buy-ins in a cash game as you can in a tournament, but I can see why people say the steady nature of 60% wins compared to 90% losses in a tournament. Probably better for the mentality overall. Until next time, sign up on ACR and raise your edge. I'm out.